What's going on, guys? David Falla here, and today I'm actually gonna get a haircut by my wife. She's gonna be cutting my hair. She's right here next to me, and my kids are here too, so if you guys hear them screaming, you know why. So many of you have been asking me for a self-cut video, but I don't cut my own hair. I like when I get a haircut, so I'm gonna have my wife doing it. She's never cut hair before, so it's gonna be super fun. So let's go ahead and start.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a fun video. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. So my wife have never cut hair before. I said it in the intro, and you know, I know right now a lot of us are asking our wives and girlfriends to cut our hair. So that's why I thought about doing this video, make it as simple as possible. So let's go ahead and start. So the first thing we want to do, we're gonna make sure we clean the machine. So you wanna use something like a cool care solution that is disinfecting for machines. You can even use alcohol and then use the oil that comes with the clipper. That'll be a solution. Step 2, we're going to use a number 4 with the lever up. So the lever closed, and then that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm gonna get a 4 on top, 1.5 on the sides, just because I'm trying to make it easier for my wife to do the haircut. A lot of you have been tagging me on videos and pictures of you know, like you cutting, you know, like your boyfriend or husband, and I think it's amazing, right? But sometimes I feel like the husband or the boyfriend might be asking for a hard haircut. And for a beginner, some haircuts are harder than others, right? So I think we keep it simple. It's gonna make it just a lot better for everybody, right? So I told my wife, you know what, just bust it down, just give me a 4 on top, fade it to a 1.5, which is a very simple haircut that I think most people can do. And that's it. The hair will grow back if we don't like it. But I think right now, like, you know, like just to be home, and you know, like, it doesn't matter. And actually shorter hair mix is a lot easier to just maintain, right? So for me, it's actually something that I like to do in the summer. I like to cut my hair short, and I think this is just the perfect time for me. So 4 on top, the main tip that I give everybody is to make sure you go against the grain to make sure that all the hair is going to be even. So go against the way the hair grows. That's all it is. And if you have any cowlicks, then go against the way the cowlick grow, just to make sure it's all even. For the next step, we're going to create a guide, and that's going to be with the 1.5. So I want a 1.5 with the lever closed, so you can see here I want a 1.5 on the bottom. So we're going to create a guide right in the middle of the head, to say it like that. So right where the temple is, the temple paint, the point on the temple, that's where we're going to create a guide. But in my case, because my head is kind of flat on the back, we're going to drop that line below the bone on the back, the reciprocal bone, right? We're going to maintain that guide a little bit lower, and that's because, how you can see, I have my head on the back is kind of flat. So if I go straight instead of dropping the fade a little bit, then it's gonna make my head look extra flat. So we want to leave a little bit of length there, in my case, to create the impression that it's actually more round, which is not, but you know, just having extra hair there is gonna make it look like that. If you have a head, if your head is rounder, you might not have to do this. You might actually just go straight across. But for me, you know, in this case, I needed to do this just to because it fits my head better. That's just the bottom line. So here we're gonna use a number 2 with the lever closed, and we're gonna create another guide. This guide is gonna be an inch from the 1.5 guide that we made. So one of the main problems that people have at the beginning when they're starting to cut hair is that they get very scared to go too high with the machine, right? So what happens is that when they're done with the fade is so compressed, like the lines are so there's so much weight that it looks like a line, right? It looks like people left a line and it wasn't faded. Sometimes that's not the case. It's just that there's not enough space for the fade to happen, to say it like that, right? So what we do is that we create enough space between each guide, so it looks like the steps, and it create like a more gradients and more tones to that fade. It makes it a lot easier to fade, right? Because we have enough space to erase each line into each other. So what we do right now is that we're making another guide with number 2. That guide is on top of the 1.5 that we did before, and we're gonna have an inch from guide to guide, so like that we have enough room to erase it. Now we're going to continue with the same process, but now we're going to use a number 3, right? And then we got an inch from the number 2, so that means the step before we're going to create another guide, and it's going to be about an inch. What's going to happen with this haircut is that because the top is a 4, I'm sorry, then the 3 is obviously going to start blending into that number 3, right? The 3 is going to blend into number 4, sorry. So let's say, like, for example, you have a number 6, right, on top. Then you will have to, obviously, from that 3 that we're passing right now, you have to most likely do a 4 and a 5, right? But in this case, since it's a 4, then the 3 is going to blend into that. So how you can see, I did it with the lever open, and then now we're going to do it with the lever close. And then how you can see, like I told my wife to kind of try to do that C motion so that you can see she's moving, kind of scooping the hair out. That's a great way to fade because it avoids you making another line, right? So you can see I'm telling her to look at the mirror and stand behind, so just if she can see there's some hairs, so she can cut them. And that's important, right? Like as barbers, like there's things that we see and things that we already know that are there. Because that's what we do every day, right? But if somebody never cut hair before, there's a lot of details they're not gonna know. So like in my case, as I'm a barber, I can guide my wife and tell her exactly what to do, right? If you're not a barber, your wife or your girlfriend is not a barber, so what you can do is use your mirror. Use the mirror to make sure that that you help her to make sure see maybe things that she's not seeing. That's really all it is. So in this case, like I was showing her, there's a couple of hairs that were longer that she didn't see, so she cut them. And then how you can see, I think she's actually doing pretty good with the movement of the clipper. Okay, so now we're gonna start what's called down fading, right? So pretty much what down fading means is that you start from top to bottom. So you start from the highest to the lowest, right? And that's pretty much what we're doing, right? We did a number 3, and the 3 connected to the top, right? Because the top is a 4. So now we're going to do a number 2. So the way down fading works is that you start from highest to lowest, and you start from the lever open, so the lever is going to be down and then you're going to close that lever little by little, right? So in this case we did a 4 on top, right? And then we did a 3 with the lever open, then a 3 with the lever closed, right? Now we're going to do a 2 with the lever open, and then we're going to do a 2 with the lever closed, right? And then we're going to do that until we get to whatever numbers on the bottom. In this case it's a 1.5, so it's going to be super easy, right? So it's important to always remember, right, that you want to have a system like anything else. You want to have a system, right? So my system is that I down fade. So I start from the highest to the lowest. Always I start with a lever open, and then little by little close that lever until I need to change guards. So how do you know you need to change the attachments of the guards? One way to know is that you hear the machine not cutting anymore, right? So you pass the machine, and you don't hear it cut anymore. That tells you either you have to move your lever or you have to change the guard, the attachment. That's the way I do it. Step number 7, we're going to use a 1.5. So remember, the 1.5 is the first guide that we used to create the guide on the bottom to remove all the hair. So we're going to use, obviously we're going to start, how I said before, down fading. So it's going to be with the lever down, and that open lever is going to blend the 1.5 into a 2, right? And then once we start closing that lever, it's going to be the same measurement that we used to create that guide. So obviously it's going to remove it, right? If there's any line left, you're going to remove it with whatever you used to create it. So always keep that in mind. If you make a guide, you got to use, like if you make a guide with certain machine, you are going to need the same machine to remove that guide. A lot of people have problems, for example, with a do a skin fade, right? They create a guide, right, with a trimmer just to remove all the hair, make it very skin, and then sometimes the machine doesn't remove that line, right? Like clipper, right? But they forget that they made it with a trimmer. So most likely they're gonna need that trimmer to remove the line, because that's what they created the line with. So always keep that in mind. So you can see now she moved that lever up, and then now she's working on whatever she sees that is longer. So what I tell her is this: a fade is just tones, right? So it's a combination of tones and gradients, right? So it's kind of like looking at it from dark on the top to light on the bottom, right? And those grays, the gray tones, that will be the fade. So what I tell her is this: just make sure to use the mirror. You're looking, if you see anything dark, then you try to light it up. That's really kind of like what a fade really is. So now that we're done with the fade, I think she did a great job with the fade, to be honest with you. I think it looks great. So now I'm telling her to do the hairline, right? So how you shape up the hairline, it's that you want to follow the natural line. Always follow the natural line first, right? If you need to make some modifications after, because you want to make maybe the back a little bit shorter, you want to make whatever you want to make sure you do it on after you did the natural line first. You will be very surprised how nice it looks just by following the natural line. So one of the main things that when you tell somebody to cut your hair for the first time is that they don't know how to grab the machine. Sometimes they're scared to push the ear down. So those are things that we can help. And you can see I'm helping her here to hold my own ear, so it makes it easier for her to just work on the machine and pay attention to what she's doing. So that's something I can do, you know what I mean, and just help her out. I told her very clearly, just make sure you keep the line as natural as possible, and I think she did a great job because she listened. So that's very important, right? And that goes to anybody. Like sometimes, like I see clients barbers that talk about how nice they are at cutting hair, right? And then you talk to the client, and the client knows that the barber is great, but the client's not super happy. Reason for it is not because the haircut is not great. Sometimes it's a great haircut. What it is that the haircut that the client got is not the haircut the client wanted, right? So the barber did a great job, but didn't give the client the haircut they wanted. So always keep that in mind, right? So here on the back, I told her to follow a natural line, right? My line on the back grows a little bit lower, but it's lighter. So what she did, she kind of went and made it where it was darker. So she pushed it back a little bit, but it's not bad, right? There's something that if it's like bad like that is too high, you can just blend it to skin and you have just a taper on the back, right? It is what it is, right? Like I understand why she did a little bit higher, because she went to see where everything was dark. But in my case, the corners are a little bit darker, and then the middle is a little bit lighter. So once you connect it a little bit lower, it will look like it was like connected, right? She went a little bit high, not a problem at all. If it was something bad, then I would just taper it. Yeah, you can just taper it, and that's it. Problem solved. Okay, so now that we're done with the haircut, we're going to do the beard, right? For the beard, I told her just to trim it down to the same on the sides, so it's a 1.5 on the sides. And the only thing we're going to do different is that we're going to leave the front a little bit longer. So I told her to do a number 3 closed in the front of the beard, just to keep it dark. With the beard, sometimes the easiest way to make it look clean is to just shape up the neck, right? As soon as you clean up the neck, like, believe me, you look like a totally different man. So in this case, like trimming down the sides a little bit. I needed to trim down the beard, the hair, because it was super long. And then after that, you just gotta trim down the neck, and that's it. Like that, you look like a complete person right away, right? Even if everything else is not fully like shaped up, it doesn't matter, because the neck is clean. That's usually what makes you look kind of like crazy, like you haven't showered, like you're homeless, right? Because the neck is covered in hair. Once you clean that line, that's it. That's all you need. So that's that little tip for you guys. Like if you're home and like you cannot go to your barber, but your beard is growing out of proportion, but you don't want to shave because why not? Maybe you work in a corporate job and you can never have a beard, and now you have a beard, and so you like it, but it's looking crazy. Then just clean the neck. As soon as you clean that neck, maybe you trim it down a little bit, and that's it. Like it's gonna look super nice. So you can see, like, it looks so much better now that I trim it down. And then once I clean up the neck, then it was fine. A tip that I give you with the mustache is that make sure that you close your eyes when you're cutting that, because if you don't, those hairs are gonna start flying out everywhere, and believe me, you're gonna be blind for a while. So just keep that in mind. Close your eyes when you are removing or trimming the hairs on the mustache shorter. And that's it, guys. That's the haircut. I think she did a great job. I think it looks clean. At the end of the day, that's exactly what matters. And the hair looks even, and that's it. Thank you, because actually haircut looks really good.
So that's it. That's the video, guys. Thank you to my wife. And yeah, she did a number 4 on the top. She did a 1.5 on the sides, and then she just blended, and then we did the beard a little bit, and that's it. That's like an easy haircut for you guys to do right now during this time. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.